a lot of changes in past 10 years. So yeah, I mean, that's it. So it's been a quite nice, long, interesting journey. So yeah.
So Akanksha has also taken the GMAT herself, so very recently actually, just 2018, right?
Yeah, 2018, yes.
Right, right. Okay. So Mayank?
Yeah, good evening all. So I am Mayank Shekhar. I am taking GMAT from the last 14 years. And as pointed out by Akanksha ma'am, the number of students is more than 15,000. And I have been through the journey of GMAT. I've seen the changes and all that. And I'll be happy to answer all your questions. Yeah.
So Mayank is quite a GMAT veteran of Jamboree actually. He has taken the GMAT twice himself and has taught, I think, close to 1,000 students till now. So he's quite a veteran.
Yes, ma'am. Number of students is more.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Swati, and I am a former student at Jamboree, and I'm a graduate of ISB Hyderabad batch of 17. I scored a 710 in my GMAT thanks to the guidance of my professors at Jamboree. I got through in my first attempt itself in the first round at ISB Hyderabad, and it's been one of the best decisions of my life. And that 1 year at ISB Hyderabad has really transformed my life for the better. I got more than 100% increase in salary in the first placement itself. 2 years I made all the money, repaid my student loan. And now off the line, I've been helping a lot of students get through the verbal section of the exam, whether it is GMAT, whether GRE, whether CAT, XLRI, SAT. So since I've been helping so many students off the line, I thought it would be a good idea to formalize the help I give. And I'm really thankful to my professors at Jamboree that they've sort of considered me to join forces with them at this stage. And I'm looking forward to help you make your career dreams come true.
Swati has kind of like come full circle with Jamboree. She started out as a student and then after working in the corporate world for a few years, she decided that she wants to be a trainer with us. So she has seen the entire, I think you have been at the both sides of the table, right?
That's right. I've had the privilege of witnessing life from the other side of the table, as well as now being at the side which is supporting students. And it's been a wonderful journey so far, and looking forward to make everyone's career aspirations come true.
Cool. All right, so, Vishal?
Yeah, hi all. I am Vishal Singla. I have more than a decade of experience basically in the IT, financial services, as well as education sector. I've been associated with Jamboree for more than 7 years now. So when Mayank sir was talking about the total number of students, I was also doing some back of the envelope calculation. And it appears like I might have taught more than 800, 900 students. I operate out of Gurgaon Center, and I'm completely dedicated to GMAT. In terms of education, I am BTech in Electrical Engineering and MBA in Finance. Look forward to answer your queries related to this new experience. Thank you.
So thanks, guys. So I'll just get the technical basic information out of the way so that then we can get into the real discussion. I think that is in everyone's mind, Sure. Okay, everybody can see the screen. Can you please confirm that you can see the screen? Guys, Akanksha, can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it's clear.
So, Swati and Vishal, why don't you keep an eye out on the chat window, and if someone is facing any connectivity issues, etc., just guide them to log out and log in again, or any other queries there maybe. So, why don't you guys act as the moderator of the chat, so you can probably go through the questions and then pick them up for the quick Q&A session later on, right?
Sure, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Yes, one more reminder. So while we are speaking, please, guys, don't type in the chat. Type in the chat window unless we ask you to do so. We will have a Q&A session later. All right. So most of you are Jamboree students, so I don't have to give you a detailed introduction about Jamboree. But very quickly. So we started out in 1993 and we have got 39 centers in 22 cities. One data point that we are very proud of is that we are probably the most accomplished GMAT training institute there is. About 25% of our students end up getting 700 or more. We have been getting the best scores, GMAT scores in India since 1993. Since we have been around for so long, so it's by default that we have the highest number of 700 plus GMAT scores till date, right? So some data point that we are extremely proud of, right? Thanks to faculty like your panelists today. So agenda, some things that today when you leave after this session, you will have some information about what the interim GMAT is, how it's different from the regular GMAT, what are the tech specifications, and if you want to take the exam at home, what are the technical requirements. So I'll go a little bit about talk a little bit about that. Then we'll get into the discussion phase about the pros and cons. You know, what the pros and cons of the online GMAT. Vishal has done some research about the different student experiences, like students who have taken the online GMAT. So he will share some of the highlights, some of the salient features that he noticed in the students' discussion. Then we'll take on this really interesting question that I'm sure most of you are here to get an answer to this. Should you be taking the interim GMAT or should you not be taking? So we'll have some discussions around those. Okay, so with that, I will quickly go through the information because I think this discussion is the most important part. First of all, it's to be taken at home or office. You know, I'm not saying that it has to be at home. Any place that's not the GMSC center. So you can take the interim GMAT anywhere. It's available from April 20 to June 15. Hence the name June 15. Hence the name interim GMAT. So I have gotten, some questions. One of my students had messaged me that I heard that the GMAT has changed. Well, no, the GMAT has not changed. It's interim, till things get back to normal. So, they are making this change. So it's not that the GMAT is now permanently going to be like that. The answer is no. So it's going to be available only for this duration. And during this duration, it will be available 24/7. Unlike a regular GMAT exam, which occurs like 3 slots a day, 5 days a week. But this is like anytime at your convenience. So that's the basic information that you need to have about about the interim GMAT exam. The regular GMAT structure, all of you are aware of, right? That there is an AWA section, there is an IR section, there is a math section, and the verbal section. So all of you are aware of this. I'm not going to go into the details. If you want the details, you can take a picture of the screen or take a screenshot. So these are the 4 segments or 4 sections of the regular GMAT exam. The interim GMAT exam is not going to have the AWA section. So the first section, the exam will start with a quantitative, the math section. Then the next section will be the verbal section. Then there will be an optional 5-minute break, and then you will have the IR section. So the online GMAT is shorter. It's going to be shorter, and you don't have to prepare for the AWA essay. A lot of you are probably engineers and you don't like writing essays. Like I am an engineer myself. I think almost everybody on the panel are engineers. Maybe Akanksha, you are not, right? But most of the engineers, don't like writing essays. We would rather write bullet points. So that may be a good thing, that not having to prepare for the AWA essay. Some other differences structurally, so the online GMAT, the section order is fixed. The first section is going to be quant, the second section is going to be verbal, the third is going to be the IR, right? So in that case, in that sense, it's like, you don't have any option. As opposed to the regular GMAT, when you get options, you get 3 section order options. So Akanksha, you want to tell the audience about what are these 3 section order options in the regular GMAT exam?
Yeah, sure. So guys, in a normal GMAT, where you go to the centers, primarily you get 3 options. One is you go with the default conventional order, which has AWA, IR. You get a break, quant, break, then verbal. Another option that you have is you can see your main section first. So I can start with verbal first, then quant, then IR, and then AWA. The third option is I can start with quant first, then we move to IR, and then you move to AWA. So you have a minute in the beginning of the exam to decide which section order you want to see first, which is now not available in the interim exam.
Right. So in essence, less choice, which is not necessarily a bad thing. We'll come to that. And
Right.
so in the online GMAT, so you get just one break, 5 minutes before the IR section. And in the regular GMAT, you get 2 8-minute breaks. Vishal, you want to tell the audience when those two breaks happen? Vishal or Swati, you want to do that? Oh yeah, I think Vishal is back. Yeah. I think Vishal is struggling with internet issues. So Swati, why don't you tell us when these 2 8-minute breaks happen on the regular GMAT exam?
The
You need
regular
to-
GMAT exam.
Yeah.
Can everyone hear me? The regular
Yes,
GMAT
now.
exam, when I had attempted it, had a fixed sequence, but we had the 2 8-minute breaks spaced out between the quant and the verbal section, and then before we began our IR and AVA sections, and we had an optional break as well. So that break was probably just enough to maybe use as a bio break, but we won't, get the same extent of breaks in the online GMAT.
Right. So actually, you probably may not even need longer breaks because the exam is half an hour shorter. But anyway, so if you're taking the exam, make sure that you go to the restroom before the exam. You get a glass of water, whatever you need to do that before you sit for the exam. That's one important thing. On the regular GMAT, you can see your score. Once you're done with the exam, you get to see the score on the screen, and then you decide whether you want to accept that score or cancel that score. On the online GMAT, now it's a major difference. Once the exam is over, you don't see the scores then and there. The score will be available to you after 7 days. That's because the online GMAT is being proctored by a human being, and it is getting recorded. Your setup, where you are sitting, all of that is getting recorded, and there's a human proctor. So the entire recording of your exam is then viewed by the security team, and they will release your scores only when they finally decide that there have not been any security breaches. That's why the online GMAT score you get after 7 days. Right? Scoring wise, no difference. The state score 200 to 800, same difficulty. All the adaptiveness, all of that is the same. IR section is 1 to 8. Of course, the online GMAT does not have the AWA, but the other two sections, there is no difference in scoring. Both the exams are valid for 5 years, and both the universities are accepted by both the exam scores are accepted by universities. Various universities have put out announcements saying that they are not going to differentiate between the online GMAT and the regular GMAT scores, which is actually a big thing. Some of you would know that otherwise the AWA score, universities expect to see a 4.5 or 5 in the AWA scores, but now you don't have to take the AWA section, and the score is given equal weighted. So that's good. That's actually good. So this is an important point. Registration fee wise, the online GMAT is $50 cheaper. I don't know how much of a big deal it is. It is going to be for you guys. It's $50 difference. Okay. In both the exams, you get to send your score to 5 universities for free, right? So not much of a difference. It's $50 cheaper. That's all. Okay, as I already told you, scores cannot be cancelled on the online GMAT. So whatever score you get, so that is going to go on your score report. When you send your scores to universities, GMHA reports all your attempts. So whatever score you get in the online GMAT is going to be reported. There is no option to cancel the score. There is no option to reinstate it, obviously. Unlike the regular GMAT, the other GMAT, if you don't like your score, when the score is shown to you, you get 2 minutes to decide whether you want to accept this score or you want to cancel this score, which is a massive actually advantage. If you don't get a score that is close to what you have expected, you can cancel it without much repercussions, in the sense, that if you later on, when you retake the exam, if you get a lower score, you can always go back and reinstate the older score. So that's the flexibility in terms of score cancellation and reinstatement. The regular GMAT is far more flexible. Another thing that the online GMAT you can take only once. So it can be taken only once. So if you take it, you get a bad score, then fine. You have to wait till June 15, and after June 15, when the regular GMAT would come, then you have to take the regular GMAT. So it's like you've got a one-shot kind of thing. Okay. So unlike the regular GMAT, which you can take 5 times in a year, and there is something called lifetime. So you can take 8. So maximum you can take 8 times throughout your life, and in a year you can take 5 times. The online GMAT score does not count. So if you take the online GMAT, and you don't like the score, and you can even then take the regular GMAT 5 times a year. So the online GMAT score is not counted towards this 5-time limit. I think none of you would take the exam 5 times. I mean, it's a GMAT, it's not a hobby, right? So I don't think you would take it 5 times, but just like FYI kind of thing. Some of you would know that there is something called ESI, Enhanced Score Report. So after you take the regular GMAT, after you get your scores, so there is one document that you can order from the MBA.com website. It is called Enhanced Score Report. It shows the breakup of the scores, in the quant section, what was your accuracy, how many questions you got wrong, and it is actually very helpful in planning, in deciding whether to retake the GMAT or not. It's a very, very useful document. On the online GMAT, this document is not available yet, but GMSC is saying that they are thinking about it. It's not a hardcore no yet, right? But till now, it's not available. It is probably not that much of a big deal, but still one point of difference. Technical requirements, it's a lot of technical mumbo jumbo on the screen. Basic is that all of us have laptops or desktops above the Windows 10, so that should not be a problem. All of us have these, so that's fine. These are not, none of us have such old laptops. If you have such old laptops or desktops, then anyway it's going to be too slow for you to take the GMAT exam on. If you have a corporate, if you have an office laptop which has a corporate firewall setup, including VPN, then you will not be able to use it. This is the minimum resolution screen display wise. This is the minimum resolution that is recommended. So make sure that you have this setting, right? You should have the newest version of the browser. So all of you have this. They almost like auto upgrade. So that is also not that much of a big deal. So if you want screenshots of this screen, you can do that. Right? Technical requirements, some more. You need at least speed of at least 1 Mbps, right? I think everybody nowadays has 1 Mbps, so that's not that much of a big deal. You should be having you should be having a broadband or a modem. Don't try to convert your mobile into a hotspot. They don't allow that, right? Webcam must have a minimum resolution. That is a webcam. So it's mandatory to have a webcam. A lot of the laptops would have the camera though, so that's fine. Just check the resolution of that. It should work. Before the exam, you have to verify the audio and mic requirements, so specification. There is a document, and also there is a system check that they would do. So that's fine, right? So very basic stuff, and they help you with that. So that's not that much of a big deal. Now, testing environment. This is something important. So before the exam, let's say that you took an appointment at 11 a.m. So they have this check-in process, and it starts 15 minutes before the appointment time. So if 11 a.m. is your GMAT time that you have taken, then at 10:45 is when you have to start the check-in process. During the check-in process, you'll be asked to take photos of your work area. So from different angles, you'll be asked. So the online proctor will tell you, okay, this angle, that angle, and you click a picture through using the webcam, of course. which will be checked by the proctor, and after he has checked, and then the exam will be logged, right, from the end of the proctor, right? Okay. Please ensure that your desktop, your the table wherever you're taking the exam, your desk, that desk is clean. It's prohibited to have books, notepads, sticky notes, papers, pens, pencils. All these things are prohibited. If you have these things in your exam environment, then you will not be allowed to take the exam. Now your exam will not be launched. So make sure that all of these are not there. Okay. In short, just I would recommend is that just in your room, just remove everything except the table and the laptop. Right. So additional monitors and computers. I don't think anybody has additional monitors or computers. But important thing is that your mobiles and everything, you should not have access to your mobiles. So watches, mobiles, all of these, should be removed from that room, ideally. Once you click the pictures of your surroundings, so the proctor, the human proctor, will go through those pictures. So that is called a room scan. So once you pass the room scan, only then the exam will be launched. So this is a very important point though. So if you have any paintings with writings, all of those on the wall, I would recommend that remove them. Have as bare a room as possible. Okay, now this is one important point of difference between the actual GMAT and the regular GMAT. So when you're taking the online GMAT and the regular GMAT. So on the regular GMAT, so you are given a scratch pad for rough work. So in math, you might want to do rough work, rough calculations, etc., etc. So you are given a scratch pad, which is a physical kind of writing pad with a marker. So that's what you get. But now on the online GMAT, nothing physical, no notepad, nothing is required. Nothing is allowed. So you have to use an online. So they give you something called the online whiteboard, right? And you can write equations or text or use it for scratch work. And there's a pen tool that is a part of the whiteboard itself, right? So and you can enter text, etc., using the text box. But this whiteboard is what a lot of students are facing problems with. When you are writing, when you're doing rough work, especially math, on a scratch pad, when you have a pen to hold and write, the process becomes faster. The same thing if you're trying to do with a mouse, on a whiteboard, on a screen, it is time consuming, right? So one thing is that you spend about a week practicing using online whiteboard. So Jamboree is also developing an online whiteboard that would be seamlessly integrated into our testing platform. Some of you would know that we have practice tests and full length tests available on our platform. So we are working on an online whiteboard, which is going to be integrated to our platform. And this whiteboard, we've already built it. The integration is going on. There's some bug testing happening, but we should have it up and ready within a week, right? So, and you practice on it a lot, and then you take the exam. That's one option, right? Now, the big question: should you take the online interim GMAT exam or not? For that, So I am done with the technical information and the stuff that is already available on the mba.com website. By the way, this is not something that is not available. It's already out there. I have just put it together for you and compared it with the regular GMAT. That's all I have done. Now we just want to address this big question about should you be taking this exam or should you wait for June 15th? So for that, I would want to hear some opinions of our experienced faculty. Where some of them have taught 800 students, some more than 1,000. Actually, Akanksha and Mayank have taught more than 1,000, 1,200 students till now. Swati has been on both sides of the spectrum. She has been a student. She has been a test taker. She has been a faculty also. So I just want to now hear from all of them. So Akanksha, so what do you first of all, what do you think about this really controversial tool, the whiteboard? There's a lot of chatter happening about this not having the physical piece of paper to write on. So what is your take on that?
So to be answering about the whiteboard, to be very honest, guys, 2 years back when I took my GMAT, obviously pen paper is always easier, and the screen sheets and all, you can write as much as you want to write. There's a lot of space. So of course, that is more comfortable. So of course, using whiteboard is something which is being looked at a little, not a very test taker friendly. And a lot of you guys were asking, and I've already replied it to you guys. No, you cannot use a pen. You cannot use any pen. No touch screens allowed. Though people have requested, GMAT is considering, but so far nothing is allowed. You have to type. But I really feel this is not a major glitch either. If you are able to practice sufficient number of tests, I think this is a problem that can be looked into. With sufficient practice, it should be able to be, we should be able to solve it. Anyways, you need more for maths, for quant. So when it comes to typing, you have a type window, you do your calculations there. Yes, for geometry, drawing and all, it could be a little of a problem there. Verbal, anyways, we don't use much. Rather, I was reading this review, how this person actually found it useful because he could take down notes for reading comprehension, typing. So that particular test taker found it, the whiteboard, easier for verbal. Quant, it was all about getting used to. So as Ozma said, we are coming up pretty soon. We are integrating it with our exams. So I think if we have 12 full length tests, so if you imagine practice whiteboard with 12 full length tests, I think you should be able to overcome this problem.
So actually, I was just going through the Q&A and I saw a really interesting question about can you use a touchscreen laptop or desktop? So touchscreens are not allowed. You cannot have an external tablet and use it to write with a stylus. All of that's not allowed. That's all of that is prohibited, right? So maths, Mayank, you are a math teacher obviously. So how much of a difference would it make, if a student is using the this online whiteboard, for the math calculations as opposed to a pen that they can hold and write?
Yeah. As pointed out by Ansha ma'am, initially that is the biggest challenge that people face. But that happens in the old GMAT, and also the old GMAT, that scratchpad also. Initially, people are not very comfortable with that scratchpad, but with practice, they can get a hang of that. So I'll advise you with practice on our whiteboard or MS Office Paint, they can get a hang of this whiteboard also. The biggest advantage that I feel of giving this online interim GMAT, this is at a home. So mentally you are very relaxed. You're not go to the center and all that. So mentally you are relaxed and that. For whiteboard parts with practice 6, 7, 8 mock tests, so they can get hang of that. So it's not a big challenge.
Mayank, there is an interesting question, So guys, now you can keep on typing your questions and we'll take those. So, so there's Sarthak wants to know whether on the test, the GMAT exam, does it come with a calculator?
No. There's no information such from GMAC that quant is coming with calculator or not. But as Arjun pointed out, the quant will become 50% tougher. I'll not say quant will become 50% tougher. The writing will become 50% tougher, obviously. So quant will remain same. So that is the only challenge. But with practice, Arjun and everyone, you can get a hang of that. And that is not official, but probably what my take on that, they'll come with some question which require less of not less of writing. I'll say not less of calculation, less of writing will be required. This is not official from GMAC, but I think they'll be coming with that only.
So, so on the regular GMAT, does it come with also an on-stage calculator?
Quant part, no. Only IR
no.
part comes. No.
Right, no. So that remains the same. Somebody had this question. So there's no change as such. So the regular GMAT also, you are not going to get an on-screen calculator for the math section. So in the online GMAT also, you are not going to have that. IR in both you are going to have. So it's, there's no difference in that sense. So Vishal, are you back? I think you are struggling with internet issues. Vishal, are you there?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. So Vishal, I understand that you have spent some time going through reviews of students who have taken this online interim GMAT. So would you like to walk us through some of the interesting highlights?
Yeah, definitely. Before going into that part, I would like to maybe spend 2 minutes and maybe request all of you to look at it altogether in a different lens. So, like coronavirus, right? This is a novel experience for all of us, including GMAT. So, at this stage, whatever best they can do in a short period of time, they have tried to do that. Definitely, there are certain glitches with respect to the whiteboard. Definitely, there are areas which need to be addressed. But good thing here is GMAT is very proactive. So currently we are sitting on 23rd of April. We have only 2-3 days of experience with us. So at this point of time, if I look at the research online and the reviews that we get, these reviews doesn't look very encouraging. But there are different workarounds that are also available now that can help manage the situation better. I'm not saying like it will be same as the previous GMAT, but you can manage the situation better. But to answer your question, also, I think as some of the panelists have already mentioned, definitely there are glitches in the online whiteboard. So I was going through a review where the student mentioned that it 2-3 times disappeared during the quant and verbal section. So how this whiteboard works is you have the option to set the size of the whiteboard screen. So you can work parallelly along with the question, right? Which was not there when you were working on the scratch pad. Now you can adjust and you can look at the screen as well as you can type directly. Second thing is, if you minimize the whiteboard, the content which is written on that stays there. Okay. So as Nyanshal sir has pointed out, if we practice enough, if we take 5-7 mock tests, then I believe to a great extent this can be managed. But definitely you will not get the speed that you normally get in a scratch pad. I think the bigger challenge here, which most of the students have highlighted and which is very difficult to manage at the later stage also, is that there is no optional break between quants and verbal. So sitting for 62 minutes looking at quants question, a student can still manage that. But just right after that, if you have to start with the verbal portion, it might be difficult for some of the students who have the potential to score really well. So considering this fatigue in the mind of the student, I believe it can have an impact of 30 to 50 points as compared to normal testing conditions. So there are some reviews of the student. I would be happy to talk about that, but unfortunately right now I'm also not able to see the chat window. So is there any specific question that we need to address, Ozma?
Right. No, that's fine. So that's fine, Vishal. Thanks. So Akanksha, I think you and I and Mayank, we have this shared experience. Swati also took some experience. So when you go to take the GMAT exam in a GMAC center, right? So Akanksha, can you walk through the steps? There are a lot of people here who have never taken the GMAT. So can you tell them what happens, the steps, when you go to take the regular GMAT in a GMAC center, what happens?
Right. So guys, when you are traveling for your actual GMAT, you need to report to your center half an hour before. And not every time you get center near to your house. So for example, I stay in Gurgaon, I had to travel all the way to South Delhi. That was an hour's travel and you have to report. So my exam was around 12 o'clock. I had to report by 11:30. Now it takes approximately half an hour for them to do the procedures. So the moment you enter, which is exactly half an hour before they'll allow you to enter, they'll be asking you to switch off your phones. There's thorough scanning, and the scanning is, if I could say, is equivalent to a part of a Quantico. It feels like you're a part of an FBI movie. They'll be thoroughly scanning you. They'll ask you to remove your watches. Your phones have to be shut down. They'll be scanning your pockets. They'll take your passport. You have to go through your finger thumb printing. Then through a webcam, they'll take your picture. And then you'll be given a locker in which you can keep all your stuff that you are carrying. Your bag, your whatever, if you're carrying some water or something to eat or drink. And they would ask you to remove it from your bag and keep it in the locker. The locker key has to be with you. And once you're done with these basic procedures, then they take you on the side. They literally scan you thoroughly. They'll make you check your pockets. They literally pull them out and show them there's nothing. For men, if you are wearing a formal shirt, they literally ask you to roll your sleeves. Wristwatches are no. If you're wearing a little big earrings, then they'll ask you to remove it. Then they'll check your specs as if there should be nothing anywhere, so they suspect. Even if a tiny piece of paper is found on you, they're going to be literally suspecting you like a terrorist. So they're very, very careful, and it can be actually very scary. They're not very polite while doing so. So this entire 30-minute drills kind of adds on to your pressure, and before you even realize, you're literally sitting on the system. So the moment you are done with your scanning, they'll give you the scratch pads, the pen, even in terms of you can't even carry your own hanky, they'll give you their own tissue papers. And by the time you realize that you know what all is happening, there's so much of things going around it, they don't give you time to basically to tell yourself that okay, I am there and my GMAT is going to be starting. So by the time you wake up, you realize you're already in front of the system and the timer starts. So it can actually be a pretty pressurizing scenario to deal with. But that is the case. Very few centers have a more relaxed attitude. Most of the centers literally have an intense scan.
Right, right. And actually that's the experience of a lot of students also, that they find the whole thing very unnerving and they become very nervous, you know. So first of all, yes, you have to like, you know, budget your time accordingly. You wake up, you do the journey, reach there. If you get an evening slot or afternoon slot, you may get stuck at the, you know, stuck in traffic, which adds to your whole anxiety thing. So the GMSC test centers are like, can be a little intimidating. I myself found those intimidating. You know, frisking, you know, like they frisk you. Like I wear glasses, so they like literally they make me take the glasses and check and everything. So, but you know, so if I had the option, you know, I would take the GMAT exam at home, because I will be in an environment that is familiar to me. I will be in a comfortable setting. I know that in my mind space, at least I will probably not lose points because of nervousness, you know. But I mean that's what I think, you know. So Swati, you know, you have also taken the GMAT a few years ago. So
yes, ma'am. And here's something else I'd like to add. I'd say even once you get through to B school, a lot of your work will shift from the world of pen and paper and get onto the screen. So it is high time we adapt. So I'd recommend please don't have a mental block about the whiteboard being in soft copy and not having a pen, paper and not having a scratch pad. I'd recommend it's high time we adapt, because even in the B school, a lot of your work will happen in the soft format and may not even happen with the notebook and a pen. This is something I've personally experienced after going to ISB. So I'd recommend, it's just a matter of habit. I mean, it's high time we adapt to it, and I don't think it should be that big a deal as, you know, everyone's making it out to be.
Right, right.
I frankly recommend don't postpone your life and your career plans just for something as trivial as a scratch pad.
So Mayank, you know, so you have taken the GMAT twice, right? So so if given the option, you know, so I mean, would you prefer to take the exam, this current online GMAT at home, or would you like you would prefer the GMSC center wala exam? You know, your opinion.
If that was the case, so the definite chance definitely take the test at home, because I think like the whiteboard thing, as pointed out by Swati, and that can be practiced, and we are going digital, so that can be practiced after with some effort. But doing that a mental pressure, so giving it the exam at home gives you lots of mental relaxation at least.
Yeah,
people have like get blank while giving the GMAT at the center and all that. Sometimes it's get scary. I'm not saying always it's scary, but sometimes it's scary, like.
And the interesting part is that, not interesting, the thing that you guys should have in mind is that you know, closer to June 15, right now they are saying April 20 to June 15. Closer to June 15, they will reassess the situation. If the whole coronavirus situation is not getting any better, then they will extend it. So what if they extend it to like July, August, you know, so I mean, then what, right? So nobody knows what this situation is going to be like, and even if you check out GMS's official statement, is the whole thing that closer to June 15, they will reassess the situation. So there are no dates to be. I mean, if you want to book a date for August 15th or August 20th right now, you know, you can't do that, right? And beyond June 15 also they may extend. So there is like actually. If you have to take it, then you might as well take it, right? Another thing is that this is actually for working professionals. So all of you teach, I mean, the panelists, you guys teach a lot of working professionals. So you might have seen that for working professionals which are full work schedule, plus the whole work commuting and all. So closer to the GMAT exam, they are often not able to take out enough time. But now with the lockdown and all, at least they are saving on some that commute time, and at least they will have some that much needed practice time before the actual exam. So I mean, what is your take on that? That do you think during this whole lockdown when everybody is at home, do you think the working professionals would have more probably focused time to prepare closer to the GMAT exam? So Akanksha, what is your take on that?
Sorry, could you please repeat the question, Arzuma?
So I'm like, you guys see a lot of working professionals, and very often we see that working professionals are not able to get leave or something like that closer to their GMAT exam. Because closer to the GMAT exam, it's a fact, you would need to put in 3, 4, at least 5 days of dedicated, focus, work towards the GMAT. And now in the lockdown situation, and everybody is at home, so it might be easier for them to find that time. I mean, I just was wondering, you have these students, what are your students telling you?
Agreed. See, in a usual office scenario, it gets more hectic to apply for leaves for work at home, because ideally we tell students to, kind of create that environment that you're going to face on the final day, because minor details can have a major impact on your scores. For example, I'm very particular with my students that, let's say if their exam is starting at 1 o'clock, or if they've booked a 5 o'clock evening schedule, they need to start their mocks a week or 10 days before on the exact same time. It should not happen that we're taking it early in the morning or late at night around 5 o'clock, then we're not in the zone. So to actually, take care of a lot of these factors, students usually at times have to take a week's office break, which some people don't get. Then they start looking for something like, ma'am, let's Monday ki date ke liye wait kar rahe hain. Monday nahi mil raha because Saturday office se chutti nahi milega. Saturday, Sunday is off for us. So these 2 days I can relax and I can revise everything, and then Monday I can go and take my GMAT. So then there are certain limitations. However, because you guys are working from home right now, there is no need to travel. So I think that whole scenario where you have to apply for leave and prepare, you can actually sort out these factors a little better when you are working from home in this scenario. So there's some advantages of interim GMAT, and these are the things that they're actually looking at. There are a lot of kids are usually tired. I have had students who've just they report to office half day. 1 o'clock they step out at the office and then they go and take GMAT. Now imagine you've been working throughout the day, and then in the evening, because now koi aur slot mil nahi raha tha, office se chutti milegi nahi. So all of these factors now can be taken care of.
Also, there's somebody wants to know whether you can take the online GMAT on the weekend or not. So yes, this exam is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, from 28th April to 15 June. So there's another advantage. You can take it on a Sunday, unlike the regular GMAT, which which mostly you can't. So yes. Then there are, let me take a couple. There's a couple of interesting questions like, is the whiteboard on MS Paint-like software with an ability to type on? Does it do Excel similar? No, it does not. I don't know whether you guys know about webinar tools like an Adobe Connect or a VizIQ, or even on the Zoom call now when you annotate and all. So it's something similar actually. It's similar to that. Or Google Keep is if you use the Google Keep software, that is also very similar. But no, you can't do Excel functions. You cannot. It does not have calculator, etc., etc. It's just a white screen where you have a pen tool to write, etc. And there's a text tool that you can use to type in answers. Is it true that some top universities have stopped taking the GMAT score as an admissions criteria? Yes, a lot of the business schools, their third round deadlines also they have extended, and some of them are saying that for the third round deadline, so they will waive off the GMAT requirement. So if you want more information about that, in case you want to apply for the fall 2020 intake, that means classes starting in August, September. So there are universities which have extended the third round deadline, and they are waiving off the GMAT requirement for those. So if you want information about those, then you can leave your phone number in the chat. privately to us, we will call you back and give you the necessary information about which colleges, etc., etc. Right? Okay, so there's Gauri. How can the constraint of not being able to cancel my online GMAT score affect me? Vishal, you want to take this? How can the constraint of not being able to cancel my online GMAT score affect me? Will this score be sent to the 5 universities I chose? If yes, let's say I didn't score well, then what will be the impact? So it's a heavy question, yeah.
Yeah. So we don't have the option to cancel the score, but the reviews that I have gone through, like that you can send the score to universities while taking the exam. So once you get your score, I think after that only you have the option to send it to the university, because now they don't have the option to cancel. So you can send the score only after you get the score. In the presentation, we have mentioned like your score will be available in a window of 7 business days. But there was one review which was talking about that it was mentioned in the exam screen that it will be available within 2 weeks. So a lot of confusion right now, but I think because this attempt will not be considered. Secondly, you have to send the score to the universities once you get the score. Then you have this option as same as canceling the score.
So thanks, Vishal. So Swati, a question for you. You know, if I'm planning for the fall 2021 session, should I take the interim GMAT or should I wait till after June 15th? So what would be your take on this? So this person is in no hurry to take the exam because he's targeting deadlines in around September-ish, you know.
Well, as a student who had taken the GMAT, I'd recommend between the time your preparation is done and your exam is taken, don't let there be more than a 3-month delay, because the GMAT is something like training for a marathon. If you say that you'll just do all your exercise and then sit idle for a few months just before your actual marathon happens, the muscles you have exercised will just get weak. So before you lose the momentum and before your preparation fades, all the files that you've downloaded in your memory, before those files start fading, I'd recommend that when you're at the peak of your preparation, please go right ahead, give that exam, because the score is valid for 5 years. After that, you have all the flexibility in the world to decide whether you want to work more, whether you want to study more, whether you want to take some time. But between the time of your preparation and giving the exam, sooner the better. In fact, my batchmates at ISB had seen that those who had given their GMAT immediately after their studies ended had gotten better scores because they were still in the rhythm of academics. They were still in the habit of studying and focusing on one subject at a time and giving exams. So they'd given their exams soon after graduation, then their score was valid for 5 years. And then they joined ISB maybe 3 years after they'd given their GMAT. So I'd recommend sooner the better.
Okay, I've got a couple of very interesting students, interesting queries from Soptic, Sren, and a few more. That what if there's an internet connection problem or a system problem during the exam? It's a very, very valid question. I'm glad that you guys brought it up. So when you are, I had initially mentioned that in the online GMAT exam, there will be a human proctor available on the screen at any point of time. So if you are facing a problem, you can raise your hand, So, and if it gets, and you will be also given on your phone, you will be given contact details, etc., etc. So if you are facing trouble, you can raise your hand, right? So there is this detailed process about, if your exam gets disconnected in the middle, because of the internet connectivity. So you're the system diagnostic. So you will have to give them access to your system, right? Even for Macs and all, you'll have to give them access to the system. So it's a system diagnostic show that there was a genuine problem. Not that you fix the switch of the monitor and switch it off. Nothing like that, There's a genuine system diagnostics problem, then they will allow you to retake it, right? So I saw quite a few questions around this. Ambesh, will absence of the AWS section affect how universities look at the scores? No, because when the GMAT report the scores to universities, they will say that this is the online GMAT. And universities know that you are taking the online GMAT because you have no option. I mean, the lockdown and social distancing and all of that. So you are taking it because there was no other option. So universities are not going to discriminate against the regular GMAT score and the online GMAT score. Lot of even university like Harvard and all, if you go on their website, they have come up with announcements. Okay, so I am seeing a lot of questions about AWA. So if your exam has an AWA score, then the university's cutoff would would apply obviously. If you take the regular GMAT score, then the universities want a 4.5 on your AWA. That's as simple as that. They are not going to say that we are not considering for online GMAT, so we will not consider for regular GMAT also. They're not going to say that because the choice is yours whether you want to take it now or you want to delay it. So the choice is yours. And if you are taking the regular GMAT with the AWA section, then you have to put in the necessary effort. The cutoff remains 4.5. So are there questions regarding technical issues? I hope that is clarified. So Swati, I think you have been scanning the chat. If you are there any interesting questions you want us to take. Okay, I am seeing a lot of questions around will GMSE extend the June 15th? So GMSE themselves are saying that they are going to evaluate the situation closer to June 15th. Nobody knows currently. Currently, nobody knows, right? So, and as I said, so there are, if you guys want to, any of you want to apply for the fall 2020 session, the session starting August, September, so a lot of universities have extended the third round deadline and have waived off the exam requirements. So if you want more information about those, please feel free to drop your email. Drop your phone number to us on the chat. Don't send it to us, send to the panelists only. And also, if any of you want to target the fall 2020 session, but you have not started your GMAT prep yet. So if you are in that category also, then also please mention it and give us the number. We have some expedited prep programs that we have started. So we have got fast track batches running 6 days a week. So we have got customized products available. So we'll be happy to give you more information. Guys, don't give me email IDs. My bad. Please give me phone numbers. Right? Okay. So the couple of more questions. Again, how does the whiteboard work? Is it available next to the question or it is a separate window? Vishal, Mayank, anybody wants to take this?
Can you please repeat the question?
I mean, the question is about the whiteboard. How does the whiteboard work? Is it available next to the question or is it a separate window?
So you have basically this as a separate window, but you can actually position it on the screen. So let's say there's a total area on your screen, and out of the total area, 40% is occupied by the so you can resize the whiteboard and adjust it. I think that's the good advantage because now you are looking at the question and whiteboard together. When you use the whiteboard, there was a suggestion that we should use the delete button, backspace button rather than undo. Undo doesn't work on the whiteboard, but I think we are also coming up with a whiteboard in few days time. Manhattan has also released a whiteboard. So we have some of these resources available for practice. So good thing about this whiteboard is if you minimize your screen and then you again maximize it, your content, that whatever you have written there will stay there. Okay, so that's about whiteboard. Any other specific question related to that? Happy to answer.
So it stays there unless you delete it. It stays there till the duration of the section. So all of the stuff that you're doing in the verbal section will continue to stay there unless you delete, or erase. And at the beginning of every section, the whiteboard clears itself. So after the verbal section, when you go to the math section, it will, it clears itself. I think that's, that's self-explanatory.
Okay, so I'm seeing this question, Orzuma, which is coming again and again. Whether do I prepare for AWA or not, and whether things will look. So again, guys, this is a scenario unprecedented. So nobody knows, even for the government, it's wait and watch. The policies are being reviewed every month. depending upon the scenario. So far that we know that before May end, 30th May, no educational institute is opening. This is for sure. Rest, obviously, looking at how things span in the next month, May, what are the rate of new cases and what is the spread, the government will accordingly is going to reconsider its policies. Until the time the government does not give the green signal, no educational institute can be open. So this is something that may end in June first week. This might also extend to July. However, that let's not bother that, because that's something which is not in our control, right? And something which is not in our control, you should not even be spending your time and energy. I know it's not a very comfortable scenario right now, but let's just be focused on one thing. Right now, your job is to hit the first deadlines or maybe the second deadlines and take GMAT accordingly. Now, to answer this one question, when should I take GMAT? Should I wait or should I not wait? See, that primarily depends upon two factors. One, are you ready? What is the state of your preparation? If you're starting right now, then there is no way you'll be hitting the interim GMAT. If you started off late, you will need 2 to 3 months to work on your GMAT. So don't worry about it. However, if somebody started it in January or February, like I have my students, some of them whose batch got over by February end, the entire March and April, they're working on harder questions. They've been taking mock tests and they are ready. Right? And so then for those people, waiting for 1.5 months will not make sense, because you will lose out. You also have your office works happening. A lot of things go on. And for GMAT, you need to give it some time. So you will not be able to hold on, tell your office people to wait for 1.5 months. And what will you do for 1.5 months? So for people who are ready, please take interim GMAT. Yes, there are some problems to it, like whiteboard. Now, some of you have asked, when are we coming? Very soon, guys. I can't give you a date. Right, our technical team is working on it, and trust me, they're already ready. We just have to integrate it. So we're coming up with very soon, right? So I'll not be giving any fixed date, but very soon we're coming up with it, right? Now, July mein kya hoga mujhe pata nahi. Abhi you should focus on your GMAT preparation. If you are prepared, go for it. Anyways, every month we are here. Jamboree is here. All of us are here. If you want to re-talk to us, you are a Jamboree student. Even if not, you have some queries, you can please feel free to get in touch with us every month. We are here and we are also analyzing the scenario. We are closely working with GMAT. Aurizuma is directly in touch with the team of the GMAT. So any changes that happens, we come to know it ASAP. We are also looking at government orders, because we ourselves also have to reopen our centers. So everybody's kind of in a lockdown scenario. So right now, focus on your preparation, right? That should be the main thing. That is the
right now, yeah. Focus on the fact that now you are saving on your commuting time and use it for preparation. So whenever students ask me, okay, should I now take the GMAT? My question is, before the lockdown, you were thinking about the GMAT for maybe some reasons, 2-3 reasons you may have had in your mind. For that's the reason why you wanted to think about GMAT. Have those reasons changed? Maybe it's that you are feeling stuck in your job. Maybe you don't enjoy your job, or whatever made you think about the GMAT in the first place. If those reasons haven't changed, then your plans also should not change. That's where I come from. And plus, this coronavirus COVID thing, it's a blip, and a GMAT is a career-defining thing. It's a step towards your career. So don't let a blip decide, whether you should be taking the GMAT. Yes, you have to now think about which GMAT to take, when to take. Now unfortunately, that is a very tough question, because nobody, even GMSC does not know whether the June 15, whether the online GMAT they will have to extend by a couple of months or not. Even they don't know. The situation is highly dynamic, and actually this is the only situation where nobody in the world has an answer. Aaj ke date mein nobody in the world has an answer. Has a fixed answer. Everybody has like plans, but nobody has a fixed answer. You might be seeing that, right? Even the government first announced that from April 20 there is a relaxation on lockdown. Then next day they did a U-turn because the number of cases spiked. Nobody knows. So you can only plan. So if you have planned to take the GMAT for the fall 2021 session, let's say, so your deadlines are going to be in September, October, right? So you take the exam. Right now you prepare for your GMAT. The only thing that probably that you need not prepare for is the AWS section, right? So don't prepare for the AWS section. Prepare in the last, depending on whether the exam opens up or not. And when you take the full length mock test, by the time you're ready to take the full length mock test, hopefully our system would be equipped with the Jamboree's full length test will be equipped with the to the online the whiteboard tools. So you use those. So just don't let the exam format make a massive change to your decisions, right? So I've gotten this question saying that from Sarthak, any intimation from GMAT to produce interim mock test matching the format for practice? No, there is not. Their recommendation is skip the AWS section. They are not making whole new tests. According to them, nothing else is going to change. Only the AWS section is not going to be there, so you skip it. That is so I have kind of asked them, and that's the answer that I got. Surya wants to know if I am applying next year, will they consider me without the AWS score? So if you have taken the interim GMAT, that means you will not have the AWS score, and they will consider you without the AWS score because the exam that you took did not have it. So obviously you are not going to have it. So I hope that addresses your question, Surya. So Mayank, I have a question for you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
Akansha.
I see another question students are asking, what if I get a low score? Will it affect my applications? No, guys. GMAT understands, and there's a reason why it gives you 8 attempts, and so do schools understand that many a times a student is performing better in the mocks, and in the first attempt, the student got a little scared, and we saw a drop in the scores. So basically, colleges do consider your best score. So it's okay. If I was getting 720 in my mocks, let's say, and I got a 640, in my interim GMAT, once things become normal, you can go in, you get your improved scores. Colleges will not look at a 640, colleges will look at the better score that you had. So don't worry about it.
So thanks, Akansha. So Mayank, I had a question for you. So somebody preparing for the online GMAT now, would you recommend them to change anything in their math preparation?
No, nothing. The content part will remain same for as far as the content of the questions are there. The only thing they start practicing on like the whiteboard or some kind of MS Paint and all that. The only thing start writing your rough work and all that and that so that you are comfortable with that format. But as far as content is there is no intimation from GMAT and as such, and I don't think like there will be some changes. So for that you have to practice the official guide and the R books and all that. So the only thing I will say, just start practicing on online. The writing, just start writing online. That's more important.
Vishal, same question to you. Anybody wants to take the online GMAT, should they be doing something different in their preparation for the math section?
I think my views are in sync with Mayank view. Just to add, I think we should skip or maybe take it in the similar manner, and we should not take a break in between while working on the mock test, because we need to simulate the same environment. Second thing is, I got this suggestion on doing the research on the reviews, like if you can actually have a bigger screen available, right? Try to use that, maybe a screen 20-inch or more, okay? But do not try it on a very smaller screen, let's say 13-inch laptop, right? Because when the screen size increases, you get a comparatively more space to write. So if that helps, I think that can be very useful. No other suggestion. I think it's just we need to get adapted to the whiteboard, and we need to actively look for reviews of the people to understand in case there are some learnings from there, and we can incorporate the same in our preparation.
So Vishal, another question for you. Sam wants to know what do you suggest? Which GMAT exam is more convenient to give, considering breaks and whiteboard factor, regular or interim? So I think let's take this as the last question. I would like to go around with all of the panelists. Let's address this question. What would you recommend students to take? Which is more convenient? Which exam do you think they will end up scoring higher on? So guys, this is the last question we are doing. All of us will give our own opinions about this. In the meantime, if any of you want to log out, please do so. Please feel free to do so. And as I said, if you are still interested in, if you want to apply for the fall 2020 session and want to know details about which colleges are waiving off the interim, the GMAT score, etc., or how you can expedite your preparation now, or anything else, we will be happy to give you a detailed demo class or we'll be happy to have one of our admissions team call you. Please leave your number in the chat window. So with that, so let's go. Like Vishal, take this first, and we do Swati, Akanksha, and Mayank in that order, right? So I was just repeating the question. Um, um, so which exam is more convenient to take given the fact that considering all breaks and whiteboard and not having the AWS session, all of those things taken into consideration, which exam is more convenient, the interim one or the regular GMAT, and what would your recommendation be for the students?
Right.
So Vishal.
So to answer this question, I would like to first bifurcate it into two parts. It's not about mainly the convenience of the student, it's about the need of the student. So I think some of the panelists have already tried to convey this point that if you are already preparing for GMAT, you are in the momentum. So at this stage, if you keep your preparation on hold by thinking, okay, I'll take the exam after 15th June, it will be a huge risk. I would suggest that in that case, you should get adapted to the new reality, get comfortable with the whiteboard, and make sure that you take the exam. Doesn't matter whether it is interim GMAT or the actual GMAT. But if you have not started your preparation, I would suggest that come with an open mind, be open to the experiment, do the writing on the whiteboard also. But because GMAT preparation takes 2.5 months, and it is expected that after that you will spend 30 odd days on the mock test. So if you look at 3.5 months from now, I believe like situation will get normalized in a manner that even though we do not have the complete lockdown upliftment, but maybe at a reduced capacities, most likely centers will start operating in the month of July, August. So I would suggest that in case you are in momentum for the exam, just make sure that you should not blindly jump to it. Spend some time with the whiteboard, get comfortable, look at the mistakes other people have done, and then take the call. Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, Swati, are you there? Or would you want to go next?
Yes, ma'am. I will, to a certain extent, agree with what Vishal sir says, because it's not so much about the format of the exam, it's as about the preparation of the student. If you're at your optimal level in preparation, if you feel you're at the peak of your preparation and you're in the rhythm of things, I recommend that's the best time to go ahead with the GMAT, whether it was online or whether it was offline. So there's no real right format. There's a right time or a wrong time. It's all about timing and preparation. Let not the format be an issue over here.
Okay, all right. I think that's interesting. So, Akanksha, how would you want to kind of just give your take on this whole thing? Should a student take this exam? How would you compare? If I'm a student, in which exam do you think I'm going to get the best possible score?
All right. So, guys, I would agree with whatever the panelists before me have said. So, if I have a good internet connection, that's one I'm looking at. And if I have the right system, PC, then definitely, had I been a student, I would have loved to take GMAT in the interim home, right? Nothing like being in your comfort zone, in your own space, and then taking the exam. But again, the condition is you have to be prepared, you have to have good internet connection, and you also have to write the system. If I have all these three things, I would definitely prefer interim over the normal one. Shorter, better, and at my comfort zone. So.
Oh yeah, actually, the shorter part would actually help you a lot. Your stamina-wise, you will, while taking your mock test or whatever, you are sitting for now 30 minutes less. So it is definitely shorter and far easier to prepare. Oh yeah. Right. So Mayank, you have the last word now.
Yeah.
So if I'm a student, I'm asking you. So Mayank sir, what do you think? For which exam do you think I'm going to get the best possible score?
as pointed out by everyone, it depends on the phase of the preparation, at what phase you are preparing. But given a chance, I will definitely go with with the online, the home, the thing, the current online thing, because it gives a lot of relaxation. And obviously, if you are, but it depends on at which phase you are. If you are already prepared and all that, just practice for some days on the online part, and you'll be comfortable. This is something new for us. That's the only difference. This is nothing like hard or difficult. This is something new for all of us. So if you can practice, so we can comfortable with that part also, because we don't know whether it's open on 15th June or not. So given a choice, I will go with the online format.
Actually, if there was a certainty that yes, from June 16th the regular test will start. If there is certainty, then you could have still postponed your decision.
Right.
But there is no certainty. Nobody knows how this whole thing is evolving, right? So you might as well take the shorter, cheaper exam and get on with your life. Plus, let's not forget about the biggest thing. You are taking it in a very comfortable and familiar environment, so you are not going to be like that nervous. So usually nervousness brings down student scores by easily 30-40 points. So at least you are not going to go through that. So anyway, I think that is where we end. I feel the message coming from the panelists and what I hear is that don't put your life on hold. So I think that's the message that everybody seems to be saying in different words, obviously. We'll be happy to go over your profile and help you out with help you understanding whether you are at the peak of your preparation or not, etc., etc. So. Jamboree students, if you want information about the GMAT score waivers and still which are the deadlines available for fall 2020 session, this can be actually a golden opportunity for you, or the rest of you also. You don't have to give the GMAT exam, and now you can go for you can start in September itself. And if you have a strong profile, so let our admissions counselors have a word with you to understand, whether your profile, the strength of your profile. Let us assess the strength of your profile. Please leave your numbers. Our counselors will call you, and then we'll be able to help you with that. And rest of you, I think those who were not targeting your the 2020 session, the 2021 session, and you are done with your preparation, go ahead and take the exam. Treat it as net practice, if nothing else, right? So I think we are done here. We're going to be online for a couple of more minutes. Please feel free to keep sending your numbers. And if you are very concerned about the whiteboard usage, our tool, we are trying to have it integrated with the online test in another week. So once that is out, if you are a Jamboree student, keep logging into your platform and keep checking after a week. I think you will get enough practice if you take 3-4 full-length tests with the tool on. So Swati, Akanksha, Vishal, Mayank, thank you very much for your valuable insights and inputs. I'm sure you will continue to guide your students similarly. All the best. Let's hope that our students keep getting the 700. Or maybe you guys don't have to take the GMAT and still get into top college for the fall 2020 session. Whichever way. So yes, we do wish you the very best of luck.
All the best, everyone.
All the best, everyone. Bye bye.
Right.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys. Keep sending your numbers, and I'm online for another couple of minutes. Otherwise, we are done. So feel free to log out. Thanks everyone. Have a great weekend.